and welcome to the event Catalonia in the Netherlands, Solutions and Technology for E-commerce. This event is a joint event between the NBSO, Netherlands Support Association, and Catalonia Trade and Investment, Axio. I just have to share my screen, which I should have done before. These two organizations are quite similar organizations with a very similar objective. It's helping companies internationalize. NBSO in Barcelona, Netherlands Business Support Office, helps Dutch companies with an interest in the Spanish market. It can be seen as like a first step to internationalize to Spain. Axio, Catalonia the Trade and Investment, with the office in Amsterdam, does similar work for Catalan companies with a specific interest in the Dutch market. We help companies, for example, to get in touch with local partners, potential customers, or set up operations here. And with this idea in mind, we've created this event about e-commerce, because we've recognized that this is an interesting sector in both territories. And we haven't done this completely alone. As you can see, there's a third party involved in the event as well, which is NDL, Holland International Distribution Council. Jelle de Rooij from this organization will briefly introduce that after this introduction of the agenda. Because what are we going to talk about today? Well, we start with this general introduction, and then it will be followed by a keynote presentation by Sarah Loan from Retail X, basically focusing on the e-commerce markets in Spain and the Netherlands. What are the similarities and what are perhaps differences between them? This keynote will be followed by panel discussions focusing on trends and developments in e-commerce, and especially what is necessary to make e-commerce improve. We have a panel with the companies Molly, Zero Grey, Sales Supply, and also Sarah from Retail X will join in the panel discussion as well. The third component of the program is startup pitches. We want to show you what kind of interesting projects, startup projects are coming from both Catalonia as well as the Netherlands. We've organized this in 3 different verticals: payments, technology, and logistics. We will have 6 companies, 3 Dutch, 3 Catalan pitching. And after that, we will have a short wrap-up to finish the event. As said, in the introduction, we also would like to explain you a little bit more about NDL, Holland International Distribution Council. I would like to hand over the word now to Jelle de Rooij from this organization.
Thank you very much, Paul, and good morning, everybody. Nice to be here today. I hope you're all well in these crazy times at the moment, and I'd like to give you a short introduction about our council, the Holland International Distribution Council. I will show a slide as well. And it is a lot of information on one slide, but I would like to first talk about our council. It was founded in 1987, more than 30 years ago, and we have around 300 members at the moment, and these members can be divided, as you see, in 4 categories: logistics infrastructure, logistics service providers, facilitators, and the regions in the Netherlands. And they are all able to help foreign companies, foreign shippers, to set up a successful European supply chain through the Netherlands. As you can see at the logistics service providers, there's many players active also in e-commerce logistics, either as a pure player, but also as logistics providers that are active as a B2B as well as a B2C provider. Sales Supply is also part of our council as a member, and Jeroen Leenders, the co-founder, is actually on the panel today. So that's very nice to have that link as well today. Of course, the logistics service providers are very well capable to run all kinds of e-commerce logistics operations. They're well connected to the most common platforms, but also very well able to perform fulfillment by Amazon, replenishment shipments. When you look at the Netherlands, we are the true gateway to Europe. It's because of the locations, because of the infrastructure. Our main ports, Port of Rotterdam, Amsterdam Airport, but also the internet exchange at Amsterdam. There's no VAT payment at import, meaning that you have advanced cash flow compared to other countries in Europe. And we're really in the middle of the main markets in Europe, Germany, France, UK, with short lead times to these countries. Also, when you look at the internet spend from the several countries, also Germany, France, and UK are the largest markets there. This is also, as an example, Inditex has set up their regional hub, a real global hub for one of their flows in the Netherlands, in Lelystad, also making use of the infrastructure in the Netherlands through Amsterdam Airport. So in all, the infrastructure, the operations that are available in the Netherlands really make it a great hub to set up your e-commerce operations for the northwestern part of Europe. When you have any questions about that, please reach out to me. I'm happy to elaborate a little bit more on that as well. So thank you and enjoy today's session. Back to you, Paul.
Thanks a lot, Jelle. Very interesting to hear. We think the logistics angle for e-commerce is extremely important, and I think there are interesting perspectives to be shared between actually the Netherlands and Catalonia in that. Thank you actually for getting us in touch with Sarah Loan, who is our keynote speaker, because that's going to be the next part of our program. Sarah Loan is the Chief Research Officer at RetailX. There she is on screen. She works with a lot of different stakeholders and e-commerce associations to produce reports about countries and regions with regards to the state of e-commerce in those parts of the world. Because of that, I think she's also frequently asked to speak in webinars and other events, and we also did that, and we were fortunate to have her accept our invitation. And she will focus today on two markets, the Netherlands and Spain, and also Catalonia within Spain, to see a little bit more about the profile of e-commerce buyers and the e-commerce markets in those different markets. So we hope to learn a lot from that. That might be used later on in the panel. But for now, Sarah, I would like to invite you to speak and to share the screen.
Great, thank you so much, Paul. Let's see if I can be a millennial enough to get my screen to share for everybody. Okay, hopefully that worked okay. I'm gonna get into presentation mode. Okay, so yes, my name is Sarah. I do mostly research. That's pretty much all I do, apart from occasionally joining a webinar here and there. The interesting thing about what we're talking about today, of course, I think Jelle and Paul both brought up logistics, technology, and solutions. These are all things in e-commerce that you can't really talk about if you don't know what's happening in the market right now and what's available to you. So I just wanted to cover a little bit of that. I wanted to talk about digitalization in the markets so that you can see where we're at with that. As you can see, internet use is definitely high in both countries. We notice this in Western and Southern and Northern Europe. This is typically really, this is quite normal. The Netherlands is a bit higher, but that's okay. You know, Spain is coming up as well. So this is just to give you an idea of, yeah, internet use. The way that people are accessing the internet, though, in each of these countries is a little bit different. And I know that 3% might not seem like a big difference for desktop, but the interesting thing is the growth. So we've seen over time that more and more of these, both populations, the Dutch and the Spanish populations, are using their smartphone more often to access the internet. But there's also the other part of that, which is that they're using more than one screen at once. So if at night we're all sitting at home for COVID, we're watching TV and we're scrolling our phone at the same time. So there's a lot of touch points to reach consumers at, basically. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so one of the things that we also measure are e-commerce indices, okay? We kind of want to understand more about the market and how each of them is doing and where they rank. So these are actually rankings, and I put the definition to the right. And I know we have some companies that are going to talk about logistics and ease of doing business, maybe. These are some points that they also might be interested in. The Netherlands is consistently ranked very highly for the logistics performance. In the Netherlands, we have a really firm, strong infrastructure, especially when it comes to e-commerce. Could be because it's so flat, I don't know, but as an American now living here, it might be that. But that's not to scoff at Spain's the Internet Inclusive Index. And typically this is due to the affordability of the internet. So very affordable for Spanish consumers. Okay, this is what I like to call the money slide. Let me change my notes here. This is the money slide. I like to call it that because obviously it's got money on it, but it's also the slide that people tend to join these webinars or read our reports for. And if you hear somebody, you know, mowing the lawn in the background, that's definitely COVID. So great news that both markets are doing really well. As you can see, the Spanish market is a little bit bigger than the Dutch market. That's to be expected when you look at population sizes. But the Dutch market is really, really, it's just one of the firmest ones in Western Europe that we can find. What's interesting about the Spanish market, and when we look at the different regions in Spain, we talk about Catalonia, Barcelona, right? Barcelona as a city center is one of the main hubs for e-commerce, for technology, and for younger generations really wanting to shop more online. So I would say that Barcelona and Madrid are some of the cities, hotspots that are really driving this e-commerce turnover. And we focus specifically on B2C e-commerce, so not B2B and not C2C. So hopefully that was enough time on that slide for you. So let's talk about the differences. My main mantra is basically that there is no one size fits all to Europe. I always tell people coming from outside of Europe this, I'm being mindful of the time. So I just wanted to show you some of the differences between the two countries, because if you're selling in one and you think, okay, I can just sell in the other and that's fine, it's not going to work. So here are just some ideas, right? If you've never sold in the Netherlands or you don't know enough about the Dutch market to be able to say what the main payment methods are, when you ask consumers or when you look at the market share of their online payment methods, Ideal is number one. And this is sort of like a bank transfer, as the best I can call it, perhaps. We have on our phones, we have apps for this, we have everything. We just scan QR codes and makes it really, really easy for consumers to shop online. And as you can see, credit card is the next one down. And usually those are for really big purchases. So if somebody is purchasing, let's say a TV online, they're going to likely use their credit card more so than Ideal. So that's just to give you an idea there. And then when we look at preferred delivery methods, this is also home delivery is definitely, and I think with COVID, we're finding that this is even more the case. Home delivery during the day is still number one in the Netherlands. Delivered to my mailbox and multi-occupancy is also one that consumers are interested in. And then of course, home delivery during the evening. But the interesting part of that one is actually that typically that costs 99 cents or more in the Netherlands if you want to have it delivered in the evening. And Dutch consumers, if you don't know this, they are not going to pay extra money for that. So that's what we see, at least in the data. Okay, Spain, the differences here, right? So we just talked about payment and delivery in the Netherlands. Here are some differences here. And maybe people who live in Spain who are joining this might be like, oh yeah, that makes complete sense. You can see the debit card is the number one, and then credit card following, and then direct debit afterward, and then online payment. But this is one of those consumer surveys that asked people, which of these payment methods have you used in the last year? And this was for 2019. I forgot to put it on there, sorry. So basically they could choose multiple different options, which is why this doesn't equal out to 100%. But the idea here is that you need to give people, if you're a retailer, you need to give people a lot of different opportunities for how they're going to pay. Essentially, that's the most important takeaway there. Whereas in the Netherlands, if you only have Ideal, it's probably okay unless you're selling TVs, but still offer other ones. But in Spain, that's obviously more important. The delivery expectations for online purchases in Spain are actually 3 to 5 days, which is longer than what we see in the Netherlands. Maybe because we're so small and so flat, we expect it sometimes the same day, even next day, or maximum 2 days. We're not going to wait 5 days to receive something. That's not, because the market is so mature. We don't really have to wait that long. But in Spain, a little bit of a bigger country, maybe shopping more online cross-border from elsewhere in the world. And so therefore, they're more okay with 3 to 5 days. Speaking of cross-border, that was I knew that was coming. Actually, I just wanted to point out, first of all, the online purchases from national sellers is the really interesting one. The Netherlands is actually the number one in all of Europe. 95% of consumers have said that they have purchased online from national sellers. That's the highest in all of European countries. That's really important because it does show, again, what I said, that the market is very mature here. Dutch consumers know how to shop online. They want to shop online. They're very comfortable shopping online, and they know they can get it in the Netherlands, and particularly from our online marketplace, bol.com. Spain is also there. I mean, it's also very high, but it's a bit closer to the European average. Which, I mean, it's 4%, but whatever. Anyway, the more important one is at the very bottom. Online purchases from sellers with unknown country of, it got cut off, it says origin. So it basically, Spanish consumers are twice as likely to purchase from a retailer selling from a country that they don't really know where it's coming from, which also feeds into the idea that that's why they're okay with waiting a bit longer, maybe 3 to 5 days for receiving their purchase. So it's just to show you the sort of the willingness of the consumers to wait and what kind of payment methods they want. And this is really interesting as well. Some of the barriers to online shopping, we tend to forget this. And if today we're going to talk about logistics, technology, I wrote this down, e-commerce, this is really important. In e-commerce, this is important for people to consider. Typically, in Spain, we notice something very similar to what we notice in other Southern European countries, which is that there's still a culture of wanting to see the product, touch the product, really get a feel for it, and then take it home with you that same day. That doesn't really exist as much in the Netherlands. The Netherlands is only at 10% for that versus Spain. So it's a cultural thing that we have to sort of look at and say, okay, where is that coming from? And we as researchers try to figure that out. But the other interesting point there, and this is something for everybody to consider if you're looking at anything in e-commerce, is that it all starts first with digital skills and the access to the internet. So if people in a country are feeling like they lack the skills to shop online, or the wherewithal or the know-how, which is the case in Spain, that's something that we also have to consider. How can we make it easier for them and more accessible and more inclusive? And then, of course, with the payment card, Spain, I guess, is a little bit higher. It's closer to the EU average, though. It's not a shocking figure. And then, yeah, the Netherlands, though, again, it's okay with not having foreign retailers sell to them. So, okay, some other differences. I wanted to point out here what we just saw in this previous slide, right, is that the first one, because they prefer to shop, to see it in person or to shop. There are some points on here. It's the same kind of survey, which is which of these things applies to you? Which of these statements do you agree with? And you can see on here, I want to see an item before I buy it. I miss the shopping experience when I shop online. These are on here, and these are on here more than they are typically on there for a Dutch survey, so a consumer survey of Dutch consumers. So this is important for you to consider. Also, the customer reviews being very helpful. Typically in the Netherlands, we see that is true. However, we have a very strong, in the Netherlands, e-commerce association called Thuiswinkel, and they use a trust mark actually to help consumers feel more comfortable with purchasing an item from them. So just some shopping behaviors. And I think this is my last slide, which is good because I'm on track for 10 to 15 minutes. We already talked about cross-border, and I think Jelle, you brought up that the Netherlands was one of the places to come if for fulfillment and whatnot, and that's actually borne out in the data as well. So what we're seeing, oh, sorry, Paul's going to cut me off in like 2 minutes. I'm almost done. Okay. So for cross-border, we see that the United Kingdom is on the list, but only 7%. And this is also a consumer survey to ask people where they're more likely to shop from. We see that with China, that's the case because it is cheap. So what you have to know about consumers, Dutch consumers, is that when you pair the most important factors for e-commerce shopping and where they're shopping from, you can see why. Because if price is the most important point, which as you can see, it is, then that's why they're purchasing from China. But they also don't like waiting for something. So it's really those two things have to match, right? It's got to be really low cost for them to wait the time that they need to wait to get the product. And then of course, Germany, it's the closest market. There's an Amazon. We also have Amazon here, but it's just a bigger market. And then the United Kingdom, and this is to sort of echo a little bit what Jelle said about the Netherlands being a good market. With Brexit coming, we are seeing Dutch consumers already starting to shift their behaviors into more shopping on mainland Europe rather than looking towards the UK, which was before a very open market for them. So I think that's it. Oh, for similarities, I just wanted to say one thing, because Paul, you said that. There are two similarities between the Dutch and the Spanish consumers. One is that young people want to buy. So the Generation Z, millennials, they want to buy, they know how to buy, they're good with that. So when we hold for older populations, we see that the Spanish market is very similar to the Dutch market with that, right? So younger generations are happy to shop online. And the city centers in Spain is where it's at. So we find that in the Netherlands, it's kind of spread out everywhere because we can get everything everywhere. But in Spain, it's really those hubs of cities where people are more likely to shop online. I hope this was helpful to all of you. I know it's kind of a random presentation, but it gives you some idea for the markets and how they're similar, how they're not. If you have questions, you can let me know. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now so that you can, oh, did I, yeah, okay, great. Cool, thank you guys.
Thanks a lot, Sarah, and very interesting indeed. I also think that everything you tell about the profiles of the buyers of e-commerce in the two countries, the differences and also the challenges that exist, that's actually exactly the topic that we want to discuss now in the panel discussion, because that's going to be the next topic on the agenda. In the panel discussion, we would like to talk about these kind of things like payments, logistics. What kind of solutions are there now or are there foreseen for the future to improve the experience and help solve the challenges of buyers in all countries, of course. Lotte Engels from the NBSO, the director of NBSO in Barcelona, will be moderating this panel and discuss these topics. So I would like to hand over the word now to Lotte for an interesting panel discussion.
Thank you very much, Paul. And thanks, you already did the introduction of the NBSO very well, so I don't have to tell everybody who I am. But it's a pleasure to introduce you our panel of experts. Like Paul already mentioned, we focused on three verticals. So we tried to get some experts from all three verticals. I'm going to present you the names and the companies the panelists are from, and then afterwards I will give the word to the panelists for them to introduce themselves with a slide. And after the presentations and the introduction from the panelists, I will move over to some questions for the panelists before we start the pitches. So first of all, we will kick off with Josh Guthrie. He's head of international expansion at Molly Payments. Then we will move to Daniel Vinegra, who is the CEO of Zero Gray. And we will close with Jeroen Leenders, who is the founder and managing director at Sales Supply. And of course, we also have Sarah in our panel from Retail X. She just did her presentation. So we will first go to Josh for the presentation, move then to Daniel and close with Jeroen. And then when you all did your presentations, I will take back the word and we will have some questions for the panel. Josh, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Lotte. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Josh, head of international expansion here at Molly. Like to share some information with you about Molly. So Molly is a digital payment processor helping companies grow by accepting e-commerce payments. We've been around since 2004. We're now a unicorn backed by leading technology investors, processing over 10 billion euros per year for over 100,000 customers. We've got teams in the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, France, and the UK, so a pan-European business. We've got existing customers that some of you are likely to have heard of, not just in the Netherlands where we're headquartered, so Deliveroo, the WWF, iBood, Heineken. Our approach is really based on three things. So smart technology with features to help maximize conversion and having the most extensive range of local payment methods so that you can offer a really local approach to e-commerce, whichever European market you want to go to. Simple to use, so having really best-in-class integrations with key technologies, from e-commerce platforms to accounting, and having fast digital onboarding to get you up and running very, very quickly. And love for the customer. So having fair and transparent pricing, single no lock-in contract, knowledge and support from local teams. And that links to our aim, which is to be the most loved payments provider for European businesses. And that's a little bit about Molly.
Thanks a lot, Josh. That was very clear. Moving to Daniel.
Happy to be here with you all. Let me briefly explain who we are. Zero Gray is an international e-commerce agency with over 20 years experience helping brands design and build their strategy and presence in the e-commerce world, working with many international brands around the world, offices in Torino, Barcelona, Dublin, and New York. We are implementing our own technology through our sister company. The platform is called Kumo. It's a SaaS cloud commerce platform, agile methodology, and out-of-the-box solution with over 250 partners already integrated, over 350 clients worldwide, an annual growth of 40% plus. And we are specializing B2B, B2C, B2D, integrating marketplaces as well, and always integrating multi-channel strategies, in-store strategies. We have people specialized in different areas, from e-commerce, from international cross-border e-commerce to operations, logistics, customer care, store management, and growth hacking. So that's about it.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Handing the word to Jeroen.
Okay, hi everybody. Nice to be here today. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Jeroen Leenders. I'm one of the co-founders of a company that's called Sales Supply. Sales Supply is an international company. We have 15 offices all over the world, and what we basically do is we help big brands, online resellers to grow internationally. So, for example, if a Dutch company, a Dutch online company wants to start selling in Spain or in America or in Italy or wherever, we have offices there and we can help them. We have knowledge of the e-commerce market there, and we also have of course, people who speak the language and who know the way there in such a country. As said, we do this for almost many years, 12 years already. It's a proven concept. We have 500 clients all over the world, projects. We work for big clients as Segway, for example, Jaguar Land Rover, and also a lot of Spanish companies. For example, maybe the Spanish attendees will know Booth and Paez. People do business with Sales Supply because it's very scalable. Sometimes we only start in one country with a company, and then we scale up to other countries if it's successful, of course. And it's very cost and P&L friendly, because you can start in a shared model, so you don't have to invest a lot of money to start up in another country. Yeah, this is a little bit the story about Sales Supply. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jeroen. So then I would like to ask all the panelists to unmute and put their videos on. So welcome Sarah again as well. Danielle, I'm seeing you now as well. So to start, I have some questions for you. I wanted to start with Danielle. So asking you about how you see the future of cross-border. Sarah was already touching this point, but what from your perspective are the challenges, but also the opportunities, and how can technology facilitate these challenges and opportunities?
Definitely, the future is now. It's not the future. I mean, what COVID-19 has proven us is that, as Sarah said, is that consumers are becoming more experts and more demanding. So they are looking to products elsewhere. China is expected to grow by 20% in cross-border e-commerce, and as Europeans, we need to start leading this as well. So we know very well the European market, and we know the complexity of the European market. Technology has to bring us this simple way of doing business, paying taxes in every country. As you know, when you are buying goods from other countries in the European Union, you have to, once you overpass a minimum sales, you have to start paying taxes in that country. So it means that we need technology that allows us to quickly facilitate this process to companies, and to make simple all this complexity. For instance, in our own company, we have Kumo. Kumo it's a platform that allows VAT, multi-VAT, multi-currency. It's a European-born platform that allows specifically companies to sell abroad and face taxes. Obviously, to face taxes, you need to have this complexity, infrastructure, administration. But more and more, there are companies specialized in doing this. So I think companies that want to sell in Europe need to to start knowing what's happening, how do they have to face the norms, the legal issues, and start using the right technologies. But the technology is there, so we can do it.
Okay, good. So I think you really highlighted from the company perspective what they need to do to be able to sell cross-border. You also touched in the beginning, I think, very interesting point on the customer expectations. And that's what I wanted to ask a question to Molly about. So what are these customer expectations, for example, related to the transactional part? Do you see any developments there? So
I think, the thing that we see with expectations around payments and checkouts experience is that, firstly, there's a continuation of what's been the case for a while. So like Sarah identified, being able to pick out what are the key local payment methods. Looking at what works for you and the payment landscape in one country just does not apply in another. So Ideal is a really great example from the Netherlands, and being able to crack and really succeed in the Dutch market really requires that. So to an extent, this kind of like localization of payments and checkouts has been the case for a while. I think we will see more and more of it. Payments has been a rapidly innovating space, whether it's with open banking or whether it's with buy now, pay later, digital wallets. So innovation is at pace. And what we now see, and again, this is kind of picked up on a trend that Sarah talked about, which is with millennial or Gen Z shoppers, but basically different demographics and different channels having really clear payment methods that are most popular or most suited. So whether that's a mobile wallet, Apple Pay or Google Pay when you're shopping on your phone, or buy now, pay later for younger demographics. So really being able to understand where are your customers, so which geography and which country do they sit in, and specifically which demographics, how do they like to shop, and then really being able to tailor the solutions that you have for that. That's an approach that we really enable and foster, so that we make it very easy for businesses to have those super localized payment method offerings, as well as the cutting edge technology with mobile payments, so they can really crack those markets.
Good, clear. Thank you very much. I think to maybe extend that a little bit also into the logistic part, for you, Jeroen, the question, how do you see that the whole development on same-day delivery, last mile delivery, how that is actually developing in both countries? I mean, you're with Sales Supply, you're active in both countries. Do you see any specifics there, any trends?
Yeah, good logistics is very essential, of course, for e-commerce. Big companies like Amazon or Zalando or these kind of companies, they set standards for e-commerce. And yeah, Amazon with this Prime program, of course, same day delivery, next day delivery. It's a very high standard of logistics, of course, and people getting used to that. Spanish people like to buy on Amazon, and they are getting used to fast delivery. And if you are a company from Holland, for example, and you want to sell also in Spain with your own web store, then you have to be aware that quick delivery is pretty standard here, especially in the big cities, as Sarah already told us. In cities as Barcelona and Madrid, people are getting used to that kind of service. So when you decide to come from Holland to Spain, then please be aware to stock your products in Spain, because if you want to send it from Holland to a customer in Spain and it takes 5 days or 7 days or 10 days, then you're going to lose the competition here locally. So service, a good logistic service is essential now these days. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe linking a little bit to Sarah, to your presentation mentioned, of course, a lot of the trends and the demographics in both countries. One of the questions also related to COVID. So the new normal, let's say, how does that look like? What trends and what opportunities do you also see related to the changes that we faced the last couple of months?
Yeah, so one trend is that you can constantly hear somebody doing DIY in the background of my house. The other trend, but the consumer trends that we're seeing, there's a couple of them, and this is happening in both the Netherlands and Spain and also other Western European countries. One of them is that consumers are realizing, I don't want to wait very long to get my products, especially if I need to shop for grocery online, for example. So they're more likely to buy local. But there was also this push towards helping local retailers get through the pandemic, right? There's this push to that for restaurants, but also for local retailers and SMEs in the area. There's also been, actually, interestingly enough, a push towards more sustainability. So now that discussion, I mean, that's kind of the elephant in the room for e-commerce, right? No matter what area we're in. There's been more of a push from consumers, though, to say, but is this sustainable? How does this work? When before it wasn't really at the top of mind necessarily, but now it's becoming more top of mind. Another trend that we're seeing in both populations is that older generation, more so in Spain than in the Netherlands, because in the Netherlands, it's already such a mature market with that. Consumers are already, no matter the age, they're already usually shopping online. But in Spain, we're starting to see older populations that were once less likely to shop online, starting to shop online because they have to, or they feel they have to remain safe. So these are some of the trends that we're seeing. And the question will be in 2021 if they remain. I think what we've seen is that when consumers start shopping online, they never stop. Oh my God, like the DIY, it never stops. So, that's, I don't think it's going to change for 2021, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Maybe link to this one as well. I mean, touching a bit the topic of sustainability, SDGs, environmental focus. Maybe you can all give your perspective on that one. But do you think that there's a way in which the local government should support this green e-commerce in your region, in your country? Starting with Danielle.
Say it again, please. Can you repeat the question?
The question is more in what way you think local governments should support the green e-commerce in your country or region.
Well, that's a hard question and very complicated question. Nowadays, we have the City Council of Barcelona launching radio ads saying that e-commerce pollutes more or 4 times more than just local commerce. So it is very complicated and difficult question to answer, because I don't think there is the right answer. I think we need to find a good balance between, obviously, the e-commerce and protecting the local commerce. We need to make sure that we use solutions that allow the last mile, let's say, delivery and local deliveries, trying to pollute as little as possible and try to all find a good balance. What Jeroen said about stocking locally helps also minimize the impact of pollution. So I think it's an issue that we should be discussing for days to try to a good answer, to be honest.
Thank you. Any perspectives from Jeroen, Josh, or Sarah on this?
Yeah, I see that a lot of clients of Sales Supply are switching from plastics in their packages, for example, those plastics with air in it to other solutions. So I think the last mile is very important, and we see a lot of people on bikes these days who are doing the last mile. So that's also, of course, very friendly for the environment. But I think also on the packaging side, there's a lot to win, and I see a lot of interesting trends in that side as well. So yeah.
Thanks.
Josh, I don't know if you have something that I can add. I'll just, and then you can go, Josh. I was going to say actually that in Amsterdam, there's now more of a focus on the circular economy. The local government here is really focusing hard on that. And it is something that e-commerce, I think, players, all stakeholders are going to have to take into consideration what the circular economy means when it comes to e-commerce and how we're dealing with that. Because in the past, we've just noticed it's a lot of fast fashion. And what we're seeing now, especially during the pandemic, is that people don't want that anymore. They're not looking to just buy a 10-euro top for whatever reason. They're looking for something that's lasting. And that could be because they're trying to keep their money in things that are going to last longer. I don't know the answer for that. And they're
only at home, so they don't have to wear fashionable stuff.
Exactly. I mean, come on, we're all in our pajamas from the waist down anyway, right? Let's be honest.
Exactly.
Maybe I speak for myself here. We don't have to show, but and I think that the question is also whether or not consumers are willing to pay more, because you brought this up, and I think the really big question is, are consumers willing to pay more for whatever it might take for the last mile, or to make sure that they get, are they willing to wait an extra day so that the packaging that it comes in is really tight rather than full of air, let's say, because that's a big question as well. And it's my fault we don't have that research. I'm sorry, I'll leave.
Thank you.
Yeah, my take on this, not an area of expertise for me, but kind of reflecting what you guys have all said. So I don't feel able to comment on, and I think it is an area of massive discussion whether these policies and implementing change sits on a international, national, local governmental level. Certainly what you can see in the UK is companies that are associated with fast fashion have been under increasing scrutiny, looking at supply chains, looking at workers' conditions, for instance, and definitely expect to see more and more of that. On the consumer side, I've definitely noticed what Jeroen mentioned. So seeing lots of packages now coming with either tissue paper or paper kind of padding rather than plastic. And I think that the real question, not knowing how it's going to be resolved on a governmental level, is exactly what are customers willing to lead, what change will they lead themselves through their purchasing decisions. And it does look like we are potentially entering a new phase there where customers are basing their purchasing decisions on our environmental factors.
Thank you. Good, Paul. I don't know if we have time for a last question, or we would prefer to start with the pitches. Asking you back on the floor.
There's time for a last question.
Yeah. So that may be a question a bit more based on consumer behavior again. So we still know the average conversion rate of e-commerce sites is less than 3%. So driving relevant traffic to your site is quite crucial. Do you have any advice from your different verticals on how to improve that conversion rate of people actually buying instead of just putting it in a basket or just shopping around?
Yeah, well, maybe I can say something about that. You know, the big problem with e-commerce is that you have you put a lot of money in marketing to get traffic to your website, and then when you have 100 people who are getting into your website, only 99 will leave, and one maybe will buy. You know, the conversion rate is it differs per country, but here in Spain it's not so high. And that's, I think, because we don't talk with the people, you know, we don't have the chance to ask them why are they leaving, are they not satisfied with the product, is the price too high, etc. And I see some new technology also there to see people enter in your shop and then to really talk to them, you know, and to get information out of them with applications who do that. So it's with chat or another kind of communication. So we need to know why people leave the shop. That's essential, because we throw a lot of marketing money in Google and in all kind of search engines to get the people to our and social media, of course, to get the people to our website. But then they leave and we don't know why. So I think there are a lot of improvements to be done to really talk to the people.
Understanding when they leave and why they leave.
Exactly, because when you have a store here in Paseo de Gracia and people enter, you can talk with them. You know, somebody approaches you and tells you, hey, what size do you have? It's about fashion or whatever. So you can talk, and then they say, I like this one, I don't like it, I don't like the price. But on internet, we don't know that. So people come in and they leave, and we don't have an idea why they leave.
So it's the interaction as well that could make the difference there from your perspective. Yeah,
we need more interaction there. Yeah.
Danielle, I think you wanted to add something, right? Or
analyzing the whole customer journey. I mean, it's important to always analyze the potential friction points that your customer might face, analyze this funnel and try to test and learn new alternatives. Things like adding as many payment systems possible, or adding and changing your checkout process. I mean, it will help ease some pains that your customer might engage. But also it's important, you know, what products do you have, what you know, your positioning is for the brand, for the products, for the pricing. So there are so many parameters that need to be analyzed and make sure that you give the best user experience possible.
Yeah, I think that's interesting relating it to payment. I sometimes have the feeling that, for example, with Amazon, if you already set up everything, sometimes you click the button and then you already purchase it instead of, I thought I was not at the confirmation yet. So I think sometimes it maybe even too smooth, I don't know. But Josh, how do you see that?
Yeah, I think for payments, there's definitely really good technology out there which can help you, whether it's during the checkout, making sure that if someone shopped with you before, you're retaining that and you can allow them to shop and check out with one click, or having automated reminders of baskets that have been left.
Yeah.
And I think that's that, across the board, there's really good technology out there. There's a lot of material on it, or there are experts, including people in this panel today, who can help you and point you in the right direction to those. So use the best technology, and then as both Daniel and Jeroen have touched on, test and learn in every part of your channel, of your funnel, from your acquisition, so the customers that you're putting in through advertising, through to browsing behavior on your site, through to your checkout, through to repeats. You need to be analyzing, you need to be testing and learning at all stages, and that's how you unlock incremental growth, and that includes a feedback. So sometimes looking at an A/B test and the results is going to be enough. A lot of the time it won't, and you actually need to speak to them, or you need to use surveys on pop up on your website, or you need to find customers and ask them, and that's where you're going to find the tests that you want to run. But that's I think that's really the answer here.
Yeah, thanks. Sarah, maybe a last perspective on that one.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody has said. The only other things I wrote down for when we do consumer surveys or we read about these are some points. Make it simpler. I know that every retailer probably thinks it's simple, and it's not. So always make it simpler, as simple as you can, make it convenient. For example, that people don't need to log in. Also, by the way, I have purchase anxiety with Amazon as well. I won't do it because I'm too scared of that. I'm going to press it and accidentally spend 500 euros.
Oh, here's a thanks for your purchase. Oh, okay, I was there already.
Okay, you're welcome, I guess. The other thing is give lots of options, especially if you are serving different markets, right? So make it localized to that market. And you talked about this for sales supply. You guys do a great job of this, because that's really important for each different market. For example, French consumers really, really want it in French, and they really want their methods of payment. It's the same in Spain, I would say, as well. Maybe not as staunch, but still the same. So give options for how to deliver, when to deliver, when to pay and how to pay. And then remind them of their rights, for their return rights on the page where they're purchasing. Remind them and say, you can return this in a store and at all the touch points that they can return it, if possible, how many days they have to return it. Remind them of that, because it soothes whatever purchasing anxiety they might also feel, to feel better about that. So, and also one last thing, be minimalist with your website or your app, because as much as we like to say, look at all this stuff on my website, that's great, right? Buy it. It's the worst. That only works that really actually data proves that only works in China. You can have a really, really, really busy website, and that's cool. But for a lot of Western and Southern and Northern European consumers, they want something clean and tight. And so keep it,
keep it clean. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your perspectives, and hope you can give this interesting expertise and feedback as well to the pitching companies. So Paul, asking you back on stage, on digital stage.
Here I am. Yeah, thanks a lot for this panel discussion. I think some very interesting perspectives about everything that technology can do for commerce to get it to a next level. We also think and hope that the following part of the program, which is the starter pitches, will show you exactly that. Starters with propositions, with products that can really help improve e-commerce operation. We will have 6 startups organized in the different verticals. We will start with the payment vertical. And I think Lotte, you were going to announce the first.
Yes, I want to ask Arash to turn on his video and turn off his mute. Thank you. Welcome on stage. And Arash is the CEO of Bits of Stock, and I want to ask you to share your screen, share your slide, and tell us in your 3 minutes about your innovation. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. So my name is Arash Asadi. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Bits of Stock. Excited to be here today to tell you about what we do. So Bits of Stock is a consumer rewards platform that drives loyalty through stock ownership. We help millennials and Gen Zers build wealth and prepare for their financial futures. And at the same time, we build emotional and lifetime connections between brands and their customers. We provide a frictionless experience where our customers can download our app and shop anywhere online or in store and get free stocks. So you download the app, you link your bank account, and once you link any bank account to the app, everywhere you shop, Uber Eats, Amazon, Netflix, you get free stock rewards in those companies. And we currently have 80 brands in the United States that we work with for this type of rewards program where customers can download our app and get free stocks in those brands. And we're really excited to launch in the Netherlands in the coming weeks with one of the largest retailers in the Netherlands. And it's also exciting because this is a privately held company. So we're also allowing private companies to offer shares in their company to their customers for their loyalty as well. And so what's really interesting is when we approach and speak with brands, we always like to ask the question, who is the most loyal to your brand? And we hear a lot of different answers of who they think should be loyal. But a lot of times it comes down to what is the values and the mission of the brand. Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks, once famously said, if your customers share values with a company, they're most likely to stay loyal to that brand. And we at Bits, we take that one step further where we say, well, what if your customers not only shared your values, but they actually became owners in your values as well? And this is really interesting because if you look at Gen Zers and millennials and Gen Zers, they're much more perceptive of brands' values. And they see through if a brand is trying to pretend to be what it's not, or if it really is what it is. And so we've actually see a really strong connection with younger generations and brands through this, what we call ownership mentality, which means becoming an owner in the values that you have as a company. And when we do this for brands, we see a few different benefits for them. Number one is the community. So imagine building a community based on not just your values, but people who own your values as well. And a lot of the brands that we're speaking to already have large communities. And this is just a really good way for them to build that emotional connection and bring them together in a much stronger ways, but also monetize. So the financial benefits are also real. Millennials and Gen Zers want tangible and instant benefits today, not points and things that they can get tomorrow. And so when you offer stocks as a reward to your customers, there are financial rewards such as dividends and future payouts for your customers. But at the same time, we know that turning your customers into shareholders will increase basket size, will increase checkout conversion, will increase repeat purchases. And we offer an API to brands to do this on their own channels, so they can actually reward whatever activities matter to them as well. But ultimately, we're in the business of creating lifetime connections between brands and their customers. And so our value proposition to you as a brand is build and retain loyalty in a way it's never been done before. So if you'd like to learn more about Bits of Stock, feel free to just contact me, Arash at bitsofstock.com. And thank you for giving me the time to present.
Thanks a lot, Arash. I'm trying to put my video on again. And I want to ask the panelists to come up with questions. Any questions from the panel?
Yes, maybe I can start. I think it's very nice. It's very clear to me as well. But how do I convert stocks into money? Is that possible?
So the first question is, how do I convert stocks into cash?
Yes,
it is possible. As some of if it's a publicly traded stock, we can actually sell the stocks and convert it into cash for the customer if they like. And then if it's a privately held company, it depends on the brand and their desire to whether if they want to enable this transfer of the shares, or if they like their customers to hold on to their shares, which we actually typically recommend, so that if the brand does well, there's a future liquidity event such as an IPO or an acquisition, then the customers also can reap the benefits.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I have one for you, Arash. What is the customer journey for this?
Yeah, the customer journey inside of our app is it's really 3 steps. Once a customer downloads the app to enroll in the program, they have to link a bank account. So we kind of rely on open banking solutions to link any bank account to the app. And then therefore, that's when we allows the customer to get these rewards. So once they link a bank account, they automatically enroll in the program. And then when they shop with any of the brands that we offer as part of the program, they automatically receive these rewards. So it's a very actually passive customer journey.
So the technology is able to understand when someone has gone to shop.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, that's the key for us. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks. We have time for one more question.
Daniel's on mute.
Oh, sorry. I'm on mute. No, I'm not.
Now you're not.
I'm not. Sorry. How many brands and how difficult is for you to reach out these brands and to sell your product to them?
So we have we work with brands in a few different ways. One is kind of more on the affiliate side, where there's already kind of standard procedures and contracts for affiliate programs, and that's much easier to work with brands. And then, as I mentioned, we have an API that we're selling to brands so that they can offer this as a custom loyalty program to their own customers. And that's where we see obviously longer sales cycles. And there are challenges since this is a very new concept. There's a bit of education required around the benefits and proving it out. But as we grow as a company, we're one of 3 companies, I think, in the world that does this right now. So as the market's being proven out, it really helps with the sales process. So we're excited to launch with Blokker, one of the largest retailers here in the Netherlands. There was a lot of publicity around it in the past few weeks. So that kind of helped, for brands are actually approaching us now, and instead of us going out to brands. So it's I would say to be determined.
Good.
Great. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Arash, for participating. And as he mentioned, well, we recorded the session and also have the slides available afterwards, so you know how to contact you if they're interested. Thanks a lot. Giving the word to Paul to introduce the next startup.
Indeed, and I think we will follow a little bit also in this more fintech or payment-related sector with loyalty. I will give 2 words to the Catalan startup Shopidee and to its CEO and co-founder Ricardo Ruiz.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for hosting me. I hope everyone is here with us. It's safe at home in these crazy times, as Jeroen was saying, and Lotte. I will change a little bit my presentation because where I'm seeing it's that Bitstocks and Shopidee are very, very, very similar. But the difference between us is that we are not sharing our stocks with the customers. We are giving them as a reward directly cash. It means that Shopidee is a B2B2C cashback platform which offer payments and loyalty solutions for companies which want to retain and take care of their customers. So what we are basically doing, it's send traffic to a lot of our partners. Like you can see some here, Booking, Sephora, Levi's, GRBest, etc. Sending to them traffic, and we are getting a CPA. And the new thing about that is our CPA sharing with the customer. So we are paying to our customers if they are paying in our shop. They have a wallet, and the nice thing of the system, as Arash was telling, is that this money, it's real money. What means that they do not have to spend this money again in the same store or just change this money for our price in a catalog or something like that. It's real money that you can send to your bank account directly. So this is the best driver that you can find, that it's directly cash. Also, as Bitstocks was saying, we have an API. So we are working with a SaaS technology to find a way to many brands, like could be CaixaBank, for example, to make a better and closer loyalty programs for their customers. So yeah, that's it. The difference between Arash and me is that we are converting cash directly, not giving these stocks. We are giving directly cash to our customers.
Thanks a lot, Ricardo. As we did with the last startup, we would like to invite the panel to ask you some questions. So who would like to start?
Maybe I would like to start. what is the difference between the good old, let's say, discount voucher sites that were like the affiliate sites? They were very popular in the past. What is the big difference between this solution?
This is a great question, Jeroen, because I was working for years as a general manager for a discounting coupon company. And there are two differences very, very important. The discount normally is applied to a concrete product during a short period of time. And that means that you have to buy during 2 days with a very, very nice price, but one product in concrete. The difference between the discount and the cashback is that you are buying directly to the store. So I am sending you to buy two Levi's, and then you have all the catalog of the brand. And what you're doing there is paying full price. Okay, so for the brands, it's better because you are sending qualitative price. There is no thinking about price only. They are buying their website, so the lead is for them. And you as a brand get more margin on this sale. What I mean is, if you are, for example, buying in Privalia here in Spain, you are buying a Levi's with a 50% off, and then you have to get your margin as Privalia. So Levi's maybe is getting 20 or 30 euros per jean. If I am sending the customer to their website, they are paying 100 euros for the Levi's jeans, and they are paying me a commission that could be 10%. So they are getting 90 euros per jean. So there are this difference between where it's discount and where it's cashback.
And how do you gain the traffic? How do you do that? How do you get the people to their websites, to their shops? How do you?
Yeah, we have, let's say, normal ways, as could be Google or social media. But for us, our best thing is the SEO. For us, it's a better way to do it, because you said before one thing that it's important. It's about the conversion rate we have here in Spain, that normally it's low. We have a conversion rate that it's nowadays between 10 and 12%, where it's something, as you can imagine, huge. The most difficult thing for us is to be able to bring people to our website. Once you start to buy with us, you don't leave it, because there's a real good reward. So we are working SEO, and referral for us, it's really, really good. So your brother is telling you that you are buying shopping and you are earning money. So this is the better way.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think we have time for one last question. I'm sorry, time is moving very quickly, but is there anybody with the last question for Ricardo?
I think Sarah had one question.
I do, yeah, but if anybody else, okay, I'll just go ahead. Two questions. In my experience, it's always been the process has to be seamless for consumers. So the one question is, how are you making sure that it is seamless and incredibly understandable for them? Because we have time to chat about it, but you don't have that in the 5 seconds that someone's looking at your website. And the second thing is, which target audience are you seeing? Let's say age or type of products, what have you. What is working best with this specific program?
Okay,
Because,
great.
yeah.
First question, really quick. We developed with our own technology an extension for the browsers. That means that you don't have to go to shopify.com and look for the store and then jump to the store. If you have installed the extension, when you are, for example, at Welling, the extension says, hello, this website, it's in Shopify. So just clicking the link in the extension, you go directly to Welling, and you already have your track. Okay, it's instead of being red, it's in green. So that means that you are well tracked and you are with the cashback totally on. And the second one, we have, let's say that we have the people, it's between 35 and 50. So it's not that younger, the people that it's buying with us. We sell a lot of travel, at least until March of 2020, that we are not selling more travel, but we are increasing a lot in another verticals, like could be home and deco, for example. Also things like fashion, we are selling a lot. And as you can imagine, we are also selling a lot about food and beverage now, directly to home, things like Instacart or something like that. Then in Spain, you have Delivery or Rola Market or something like that.
Thanks a lot, Ricardo. Very interesting. I think we've now talked about customer loyalty and mainly with a kind of financial perspective. We're now going to the next vertical, which is more technology in general for e-commerce. And I would like to present to you as first speaker there, the startup Shoppery, represented by Mercè Ruestes-Sicart, who's the COO of the company. Please, Mercè, take the stage.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mercè Ruestes from Shoppery, a company based in Barcelona. We provide a technology platform to build a marketplace, both for B2B and B2C marketplaces. As it's been commented today, many companies have started selling online, but they are struggling to attract enough audience to their websites, and it's rather expensive. They need to pay marketing campaigns to get those visits. But building a marketplace, and they are also threatened by global marketplaces, who are the ones who control the prices and the knowledge of the consumer behavior. So they are getting far away of the customers now. Building a marketplace is a way for them to take profit of network effects. Building a marketplace, I mean, many sellers selling together are much stronger than each one of them selling individually on an online shop, right? Another strategic reason to build a marketplace is to get closer to the customer and to get the knowledge of their behavior firsthand, right? And of course, to get new customers as well. Regarding the initiator of the marketplace, it could be a producer inviting other producers to sell together. It could be a wholesaler or a distributor wanting to digitize the sales process. Or it could be a company with the ecosystem already built, with the sellers and buyers, like, for example, a bank or a media company or a logistics company, right? And just putting them together to facilitate those transactions. We offer a complete solution to build a marketplace with a back office for the owner of the marketplace, configuration and management of the day-to-day operations, a back office for the sellers to upload products and to handle the orders, and a front office for the buyers, where they navigate, they make the purchases. Okay. We have customers in different sectors, like food with a B2B marketplace for Alicorp, media, Vocento with local commerce, banking, Wizing, B2C for financial services, or retail or automotion. So in summary, we offer a software as a service, so fast time to market and no need of technical expertise to do so. And we adapt to each customer journey to make that experience very specific. And we have the expertise in-house to help companies grow their marketplaces. Thank you very much for the invitation and for the attention.
Thanks a lot to you, Mercè. The panel, who would like to start the questions?
I'd like to ask a question. You said you have a front office, you have a back office for the seller, for the marketplace owner, and for the sellers. How do you help companies reach out all those sellers and accompany them into feeding the marketplace? Because that's probably the most complicated part, you know, bringing all the value.
Yep, certainly. We offer them a solution to invite them via emails, via forms, to update their seller profile, to upload the products, and so on. But of course, building a marketplace is not only technology, which we provide, but it's also a commitment from a project team by at the customer side to operate and build this marketplace. They need to make training to all those sellers, to accompany them, and very often there is an agency or a partner together with us helping them to do so. Mm-hmm.
And one last question: do you also integrate with other front ends in the e-commerce side, or just your own front end?
Mm-hmm. This is one of our differentiations. We offer a front end, which other platforms don't, right? So we provide a tool to build the front end on their own as a self-service mode, or we build a front end adapted to their design, their layout, or their needs, right? So nowadays we don't integrate with other storefronts, whether we build it or they use our tool, our back office to do so.
Okay, interesting.
Thanks a lot, Mercedes. Thanks a lot, panel as well. Moving to our next speaker, and I want to ask Raúl Stratov from Catalonia to unmute and share the video and also a slide. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Lotte. Also, thank you very much for the invitation. I hope everybody can see my screen. Well, as Lotte says, my name is Raúl Stratov. I work for Catalonia PIM. Catalonia PIM originated from a company called Tritech. Tritech is a Dutch company. It's now almost 18 years old and started as a digital agency building bigger e-commerce platforms for Dutch, mostly living companies. What we've seen in the last 8 years is that the e-commerce market was changing really hard. Basically, most of the traffic was generated by the online marketplaces. Amazon was coming up hard in the United States and then blowing across Europe. In the Netherlands, we had Bol coming up as a marketplace. So from Tritech, we started with 2 tools. One of the tools was Channel Engine. Channel Engine is an online marketplace integrator. So basically one connection to Channel Engine gives you the opportunity to sell all your products on different marketplaces like Amazon, but also on Bol and other big ones throughout whole Europe. And the other tool is Catalonia PIM, a product information management system that helps you basically centralize your product data and be active on all those different online marketplaces. I think what comes back also in what Sarah told earlier and also Mercedes is that it's very hard to gain traffic towards your own web shop at the moment because most of the searches now for products that happen on online marketplaces. So people, when they search for a product, they go earlier to a Amazon or to a bol.com and not even going to Google anymore. And now what Google is doing, Google is now starting their own online marketplace platform. So instead of Google Shopping, they're not sending the traffic to your own website. Basically, they're keeping their own traffic, and they will also have a payout checkout system within the Shopify, within the Google platform. So what this means is especially for brands, wholesalers, and retailers, when they want to be active and going to a direct-to-consumer strategy, they have to get their product information in order. That's very important. I think Sarah also touched on it. Accurate product information leads to a quicker sale, but also helps you retain your reverse logistics because if your product information is correct, the chance that you get it sent back to you in a return is a lot smaller. So what we focus on is a multilingual platform. So you have to be active on multiple platforms in different languages. So if you want to sell in Spain, you have to be able to get your Spanish language. Same is for English, Dutch, and all the other languages that you want to be active in. And the other thing is we want to focus on features that help you maintain all the different product data. So if you sell on multiple platforms, that could be on your own website, but also on the marketplaces. There are different attributes and specifications that you have to add to your products, which is very hard to maintain in the current e-commerce platforms like the Magento and Shopify's. So what we build a platform where with a workflow, you can easily optimize your product information throughout a easy process within your whole departments. And the other thing is it's flexible to add extra fields of information for different types of platforms that you want to be active in. it's very the main thing is it's going to be very scalable. So it's a plug and play SaaS platform. You just add it to one of your e-commerce platforms, also to your ERP. And from there, everything is automated. So it's a plug and play system where you just basically make your whole infrastructure a lot more scalable without having to spend a lot of money on a all fits one enterprise solution.
Thank you, Raoul. We have time for one question because we have two startups to go. So who wants? Shoot.
Yeah, maybe I can shoot. I think there are a lot of PIMs nowadays. Nowadays in online businesses. What makes this PIM different from other PIMs, and what is exactly the difference with Channel Engine?
The difference in Channel Engine is Channel Engine is a integrator. So Channel Engine basically has all your order data, client data, and all the information or all the orders from all those marketplaces that you're active on. They're coming back into Channel Engine, and Channel Engine just pushes it back into your ERP or your e-commerce platform. So it focuses on the whole e-commerce flow toward the marketplaces. And the PIM focuses also on the product information for those marketplaces. Where we differ mostly from all the other platforms is we focus on brand wholesalers that want to be active on multiple channels. So a lot of PIM systems still focusing on print, also more on the enterprise level integration with the bigger ERPs and the bigger e-commerce platforms. But we trying to be a scalable MKB or SMB solution for parties that want to be active, because there's still a lot of, it's not an enterprise platform anymore, where it was used to be a couple years ago. So we're trying to be that solution, also a multilingual solution for that.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Raoul. Now moving very quickly, and I think that suits the last vertical. It's about logistics. Last minute, we already said we're very demanding. So we're now asking those logistical startups on stage, starting with Konstantin Dimitriou. I hope I pronounce it well, from Hard Hyperloop. So if something can go fast, it's a Hyperloop. So we're fully focused on you to be able to do your pitch in the right time. And afterwards, of course, the questions. The stage is yours.
Absolutely. Let me just make sure you can see my slide. Hopefully you can. Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
We see it.
So thank you very much. Delighted to take part in today's meeting, and really very exciting startups that presented before me. So Hard Hyperloop is at the other end of the spectrum. So we're not an e-commerce company. Hard Hyperloop is a company that's developing Hyperloop, which many people have heard of, but I'd like to make it relevant to e-commerce specifically. A few words in terms of history. Hard was established a few years ago by a number of founders who were part of the Delft Hyperloop team. The Delft Hyperloop team won the first Hyperloop competition that Elon Musk organized. We have already a test center in Delft, and we're building a test center in Groningen. As part of the discussions that we've had over the last 12 months, we've refocused. Hyperloop in public consciousness is related to passenger transport, but we have refocused on cargo. And the reason why we believe cargo is relevant is partly because of all the other things that have been said earlier on today, the growth in e-commerce, the growth in parcel traffic, the growth in high value added goods being transported. Now, currently, rail is not an alternative for that. It is much too slow and actually expensive. So the majority of these cargoes are transported by truck. And what we have set out to do is to create a method of transport that will replace trucks, the larger trucks, on a hub-to-hub basis. Essentially, what we're talking about is creating hubs. For example, if you can imagine, if we create a hub next to Schiphol, that can be connected to North Rotterdam, that can then be connected to in Brabant and then to Venlo to create a logistics system in the Netherlands, which is a core competitive advantage of the Netherlands as a country. And again, we want to encourage e-commerce, we want to encourage the growth of e-commerce, and we'd like to benefit from that by being the method of transport to do that. Where we are in our development is we expect our first route to be constructed in a sort of 26 to 29 time frame. We have a potential route in the Netherlands that we are looking at very actively, but we do believe there is a lot of potential in other countries of Europe, specifically in Spain. We also have not forgotten passenger Hyperloop, but we do believe it will come later in the years after the first cargo is launched. So that is my brief intro. Thank you very much for your attention.
Good. Any questions from the panel? Also here, I think we have time for one question. Sarah.
But I have two. Darn. Okay, well, they're two kind of easy ones. So the first one is basically, would all companies be able to access this, all retailers? Because there's this question, I think, around who's got more money than to use something like this to ship cargo. And the second one is that grocery is becoming more and more of a big issue, especially as the Netherlands is one of the leading agricultural epicenters of Europe. Would you be able to utilize this for grocery e-commerce? Because that's also growing since COVID started.
So the answer is yes to both. So if I start with the first one, we don't anticipate users to be investors in the project, and therefore what we expect is we want to create a platform that can be used by as many parties as possible. It will be a form of infrastructure and therefore open to use by all. In terms of groceries, actually in the Netherlands, the routes that we're looking at, the majority of products being transported on those routes are well, not groceries and vegetables. So we're looking at a route that is very intense in terms of flower traffic in the Netherlands, but also vegetable traffic. But we're also trying to link that to some of the warehouses that not only PostNL, the Dutch Post, but also Albert Heijn, the main supermarket chain, has.
Thanks a lot, Konstantin. We're now up for the last startup of the day, which is Kubo. It's typically also serving the last part of the process, actually, of getting the product to the customer. So I would like to invite Victor Garcia Pujol to share the screen and talk about Kubo.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Hope you see my screen now. So I just keep it simple, just for you to focus on the pitch. My name is Victor. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Kubo, an e-commerce fulfillment startup offering brands and their customers the best same-day delivery experience on earth. So basically, imagine you are an e-commerce brand and you have everything in place to ace the customer experience on the pre-purchase site. You have support marketing, original content, amazing products, and everything is okay to ace that customer experience. But on the post-purchase site, we are always in the hands of a traditional 3PL who is not digitized, and you're facing slow delivery experiences, broken packages, confusing return policies, and basically your customer experience on the post-purchase site is completely misaligned with the pre-purchase site. So that's the reason why Kubo was born. Our solution consists on a best-in-class digital platform to manage all your e-commerce operations from one single source of truth, which is the Kubo app. We have several branded digital products and customization options, so you can delight your customers and customize your experience on the physical side with the package itself, but also on the virtual side with customization in terms of real-time order tracking or notifications. And also on the physical side, on the logistics part, we are doing that thanks to a technology-driven network of urban micro-fulfillment centers. So we can store your goods locally and deliver immediately. So, and here's how Kubo works. Basically, first of all, we connect with your CMS, with your platform, Shopify, WooCommerce, whatever, or also with our own Kubo API. After that, we store locally your items, so we can assess one of our partners that store your items and fulfill your orders in order to get this amazing customer experience for your customers with same-day deliveries. After that, we fulfill the experience. With our technology, our partners can fulfill these experiences with your look and feel and everything you want to give to your customers to wow them. And finally, we ship them to your customers with same day. Our traction has been pretty massive. We were born this year And from February to December, we've been able to go from 0 to 10,000 monthly orders. And basically, our business model is pretty simple. We are a SaaS-enabled marketplace connecting demand from e-commerces with fulfillment partners and delivery partners with our technology for them to be able to fulfill the orders. So we don't touch any package. So this is pretty much everything from my side. It's been a pleasure to be here, and I'm really looking forward to your questions now.
So thanks a lot, Victor. Also here, due to time constraints, we have room for one question. So who of the panel wants this last question that we can ask?
May I? May I?
I think there are several people, but you may.
I'm curious, who are those urban partners that fulfill the orders? What kind of companies are they?
Yes, we realized that there are plenty of spaces on the urban city centers that are not being properly utilized. So on this first stage of our company, we are focusing on logistic companies that already have some sort of urban hubs to receive packages in the morning, sort them by zip codes, and finally ship them, so that their facilities are completely underutilized at the rest of the day. So we are giving them the possibility to make some additional revenue of their facilities. But on the second stage, we will focus, thanks to our technology, to other underutilized spaces, such as parking lots, shopping malls, or commercial spaces.
Okay, thank you.
I just see that we still have 4 minutes and I can do the closing in a little bit less. So if there is anybody with a last urgent question, this is the moment.
I guess if nobody has one, I can always ask. I'm full of questions always. Daniel, did you want one? I don't know. Did you guys try? No, good. Okay. My question, when you talk about same-day delivery, we talked about sustainability earlier, and whether or not that's because I understand the micro fulfillment centers in urban areas, it's not going to have that impact on the environment that same-day delivery would normally have coming from somewhere else. But how then to communicate that? How do you communicate that to people to help them understand that there's not a sustainability issue necessarily with this project? How with retailers, but also how do they do that with their consumers, I guess, is my question.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part of what we're doing. And we're starting to communicate thanks to our partners, because some of them are delivering with cargo bikes, for example, so that if we have the goods stored in an urban city center, we are able to do that sustainable deliveries. But I think that it's part of a communication plan that we will be tackling next year. By now, we've recently born in February this year, so we are tackling the e-commerce fulfillment part, and after that, the e-commerce post-purchase experience part. After that, I think that we will be able to easily communicate the benefits of the model to the major base of customers we are generating.
Cool, thank you. Random question, sorry.
Thanks a lot, Victor. Thanks, Sarah, also for this last question. Well, I think we've had a very interesting session today, learned a lot about developments in solutions, technology for e-commerce. And I think it's very important for all people here, companies attending this session, that with technology, with solutions, you can get further. You can get further than perhaps what you're doing now. And it also makes it easier to go abroad. And that is, of course, one of the main things that we see, Lotte and me, as a main objective for the companies we work with, help them internationalize. If you are a company like that, as said, please get in touch with us. We can try to help you. But also, if there's anything in one of the stories of the startups or of the panel that you found attractive, you would like to know more about, you would like to get in touch with that company, please also let us know, because for us it's easy. We get you in touch in no time. I put now on the screen the contact details of all the participating partners in this session. It's MBSO, Catalonia Trade and Investment Amsterdam, and Holland International Distribution Council. So if you want to write this down, this is your moment. And I would like to thank everybody for joining, and also all the teams and the people involved in the session of today for sharing their experiences, talking about their companies, talking about developments. And last but not least, I also would like to thank my colleague Sonia Gonzalez in Barcelona, who was the executive producer of this complicated session. So thanks a lot, Sonia. Thanks a lot, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it.